this video, I'm going to give you an insight into content at scale and tell you my thoughts on it and whether it's worth the investment for your business. So a client of mine asked me to have a go of using content at scale. So as a content and copywriter myself, this is kind of doing my job for me, but I was keen to give it a try because I think it's important to explore what AI can do for us. I'm Laura Bean and this is Creative Little World. Okay guys, let's dive straight into what content at scale is. So content at scale is an AI model and it's going to create long form blog posts for you and optimize it with keywords. In theory, you should be able to create all your blog content. It says that it writes completely fresh content. So it says you don't need any experience as a writer and it won't be detected as AI content because that's what it's claiming other things do. One thing that really frustrated me quite quickly here was that they really don't go into any details on pricing on the page. There is a hidden bit right down the bottom here. So what's the pricing? Plans start at $250. So it doesn't really explain what you get for your money or how much you're going to have to invest. It also asks you to request an invite. I don't see the need. Like, be upfront. What are you trying to sell me? How much it's going to cost me? What's my investment? So instantly I feel a little bit put out because they're making it harder than it needs to be. So the client has covered the cost of this. So this is what you'll be looking at. For the lower level, it's $250 a month, and that gives you 8 articles a month. So you have different upgrades. So you could be producing, a lot of articles in that time. I don't think it's all that cheap, to be honest. It's especially when you've got things like ChatGPT that can be free. But yeah, that's what you're looking at. Now, another thing that I found with content at scale is it doesn't really give a free trial as such. So when we signed up, it did give us 1 blog post to try. I'll explain where I went wrong here so you don't do the same thing, but it meant that we didn't really get the opportunity to try it out properly. My client was already quite impressed with what he'd seen at demonstration for it, but if you've not used it and you want to try it, it does limit the trial. I don't really understand why they haven't given a longer free trial. I can understand they don't want you making loads and loads of content and not buying in. The likelihood is that if you want blog content, then you're not going to be looking to just have 1 or 2 blogs. So if they're confident in what they're selling, why not give a couple away for free so we can try it out before we commit. Okay, so once you're logged in, you get to create a project. So this could be, I'm going to use my stuff, for example. So Creative Little World, put some context around it. So my website is about content and copywriting for business owners. How many blogs I want a month? Let's say we wanted 2. Target audience. So these are business owners with limited time who want great content for their website. So tone of voice. So I'm generally quite a happy person, but for my website, let's say I want it to be informative, and then obviously select what type of language you want. In UK English for myself, and then the word count. Now this is one of the things that struck me. It defaults to 2,000 to 3,000 words, which I think is a little bit excessive, if I'm honest. But let's go with that for now. Okay, so now we've created a project. And what we want to do next is we're going to write some posts. So this is the bit about content at scale that kind of excited me a little bit, because you can ask it to generate several posts at once. So perhaps rather than, if you've got all your content ideas for the next month or so, you can put in all the blog ideas that you want. What you would do is you go to write a post And it comes up with this. So you can either do it from a keyword or an existing blog post. Now this is where I went wrong when we did our free trial. I asked it to write from an existing blog post, and I used one of my clients' blogs, thinking that it was perhaps going to develop on that or a new idea, bring some new ideas around the content that we were looking to create. Unfortunately, what it did is just rewritten that blog in its own style, so we had a duplicate. So just be mindful of that. If you want it to write from an existing blog post, you want to use one that is, say, a competitor post, or one that you're looking to aspire to, rather than one of your own that you're looking to evolve from. You can do a YouTube video, but I tried this and it didn't work, it failed. I'm not sure what happened there. Anyway, so say you wanted to do it from a keyword. So what you would then do is write in your keywords. So I'm just going to put this in for an example. Content writing strategy. So again, it's, you know, default to that because that's what we've left it as. I think this is quite high, but you know, you can always trim it down. Additional context. So I did this quite a lot for my client because it felt like you wanted to give it some guidance. So they're quite area specific. So I wanted it to talk about the area which they are based in. So I made sure I was writing about that. So you would want to really narrow it down a little bit. So what you can do if you want to produce more than one at a time is to then save to Content Planner. So that puts that in here. You can build up several of these. So say you wanted to write another one. So let's do that again quickly. So let's say we wanted to write copywriting email tips. Okay, that's a very vague one, but that's just for say showing you the example. You would then save that to your content planner as well. So then you'd have these, and what you can do is you can select them all and then ask it to write a post. I'm not going to click this button because this isn't my account, so I don't want my client getting charged. But what it will do then is it will start generating these posts for you. Okay, so once you've got your content plan in and it's generating however many posts you've asked it to generate, it does take some time, it takes a few minutes, but then, you know, that feels a little impatient to say when it would probably take me a couple of hours to write myself. So it is quick. So this is the blog you get this long form blog post. Okay, so don't forget we've gone for the 2,000 to 3,000 words. So it is quite long, and throughout you get these snippets. They could be useful if you're looking for help with your social media at the same time. It can also put in links to relevant content on your website for you. I have Grammarly installed, and it does flag up a few things. So like this here, this is American English, even though we have said we want it in UK English. So that's something it seems to have missed. There's a few things that I would be mindful of as I'm editing this. The thing I like at the top is it has the table of contents, which clicks through to the relevant bit of copy, or it will do once you've uploaded it. But I think quite quickly we're going to recognize who's using content at scale because we're going to have the same format. But it's quite useful if you've got a long blog post to navigate for people so they can go straight to the bit that they want to read. One of the things I did notice when I was editing another bit of content was that it will bring in some facts that it finds around the internet. So in this one, for example, they've used a quote, or you know, they've pulled some details from Forbes apparently. So Forbes confirms outdoor team building activities can improve communication. As a content writer, you can't just claim that that's what people have said. It needs to be true. So I went and looked for that online, and I did manage to find something that was pretty relevant to it, so I could use that. So just be careful, because AI does want to please you, and it does want to give you content that it feels is relevant for you, but it can make it up. So if it's putting in quotes or pulling in stuff from other sources, just go and check that information before you use it, and don't forget to credit the source. So on the whole, the content it has produced for us has been okay. Now, as a copywriter, I am quite specific with what I put out there. So even if you're using AI to generate your content, you still want it to be informative, educational, useful, all the things that it should be to your audience. So you really do need to read through what AI is creating for you and never just copy and paste it. So here's an example of Content at Scale's blog that it wrote for my client, which shows why exactly you can't just copy and paste from AI. So this blog was titled Exciting Group Activities in the New Forest, Hampshire. It started opening with group experiences in the wild can be a great way to strengthen ties, gain knowledge and craft lasting recollections. So I know we want to write things creatively and you don't want to churn out the same thing as what would normally be out there. So perhaps it felt creating lasting memories was a bit too common. But I have to say, crafting lasting recollections just doesn't make sense. That was a big red flag for me. So carry on reading this one. It also went on to, we'll delve into how these activities facilitate seamless transitions between tasks with first-class staff assistants. What? So this one was a particularly bad one, and it did lead me to recommending to my client that we reconsider using Content at Scale. Content at Scale also boasts that it writes you content that doesn't get detected by AI because it's writing it so it's human enough. It's not going to get picked up by AI detectors. Now, I think we can agree from that example I just showed you that if I was to read that, that would instantly flag AI for me. But let's just put that blog post into an AI detector, and not just any AI detector, but Content at Scale's AI detector. So I've pasted that in there. This is it, the crafting lasting recollections. So let's ask it to check for AI content. So it's likely to be AI generated. So it's marked down its own content for being too heavily AI generated. So just so you know, I'm being fair, let's try this other AI content detector. Ask it to check content that we have generated, and yet again it's flagged that it's AI. Now, if you are using an AI content detector, then I will say from the ones I have tried and tested, they're not actually that great. They don't always work, so don't rely on them 100%, but I think it's interesting to test on that particular blog post to see if Content at Scale that are claiming that your parcel AI detection, it instantly failed and with its own detector. If you ask my honest opinion about Content at Scale, yes, it can produce mass amounts of content for you, but I don't think the quality is there unless you have a real human touch editing it, which is then an additional cost, and I'm not sure it's really worth it. If you found this video helpful, please do give it a thumbs up and drop your comments below, because I'd be interested to hear if you've tried it yourself and what you think of it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more helpful content like this, and I'll see you soon.